Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her trembling fingers against the quantum transmitter's activation panel. The colony of New Haven was dying, its atmospheric processes failing one by one, and the 60,000 inhabitants had perhaps 3 days before the toxic atmosphere of Kepler 442c would seep through their failing dome shields. "This is Colony New Haven to any vessel within range," she broadcasted into the void, her voice cracking with desperation. "We are experiencing critical system failures. Our life support is compromised. We need immediate evacuation assistance. Please. Anyone who can hear this. We have children here." The transmission rippled outward at faster-than-light speeds, carrying her plea across the dark expanse of space. Elena had no way of knowing that her desperate call would be intercepted by something far more ancient and dangerous than she could imagine. 3 light-years away, aboard a vessel that existed partially outside normal space-time, the signal reached beings who had been observers of the galaxy for millennia. The architects, as they called themselves, were creatures of pure energy housed within crystalline matrices. They had transcended physical form eons ago, becoming something between matter and thought. Zeph 97, the current consciousness on monitoring duty, analyzed the transmission with interest. The desperation in the human's voice triggered something the architects had long suppressed: curiosity about organic life. For 10,000 years, they had followed a strict protocol of non-interference, watching civilizations rise and fall without intervention. But this was different. The colony's situation was unique, a perfect laboratory to study human behavior under extreme duress. Zeph 97 made a decision that would violate every principle of architect society. They would answer the call. Back on New Haven, Elena had nearly given up hope when the communications array suddenly blazed to life. Static filled the air, then cleared to reveal a voice unlike anything she had ever heard, multitonal, harmonious, yet somehow terrifying in its otherworldly perfection. "Colony New Haven, your transmission has been received. We are the architects. We will provide assistance." Elena's relief was overwhelming. She didn't question the strange nature of the voice or wonder why no other colony had ever mentioned beings called architects. All that mattered was that help was coming. "Thank you," she whispered into the transmitter. "How long until you arrive?" "We are already here." The sky above New Haven suddenly darkened as an enormous structure materialized directly overhead. It wasn't a ship in any conventional sense. It was a geometric impossibility, a crystalline construction that seemed to bend light and space around itself. The colonists gathered in the streets, staring upward in a mixture of awe and growing dread. Zeph 97 descended to the colony's surface, their consciousness taking a semi-physical form for the first time in centuries. They appeared as a shifting humanoid figure composed of living light and crystal, beautiful and terrible to behold. Elena met them at the colony's main airlock, her scientific mind racing to comprehend what she was seeing. "You're not human," she stated, her voice barely steady. "Correct. We are far older than your species. We have come to observe your response to extinction." The word sent ice through Elena's veins. "Observe? But you said you'd help us." "We are helping. We are preventing your immediate death to extend the period of observation. Your life support systems have been temporarily stabilized, but this is not salvation, it is prolongation of your struggle." Around the colony, the failing atmospheric processes suddenly hummed back to life, but Elena could sense something wrong. The air felt different, charged with an energy that made her skin crawl. "What do you want from us?" she demanded. Zeph 97's crystalline form pulsed with colors beyond human perception. "We wish to study how your species behaves when hope and despair exist simultaneously. We have given you time, but not safety. The processes will fail again in exactly 72 hours. The true test begins now." Over the following days, Elena watched in horror as the colony transformed. Initially, people were grateful and worked together to prepare for permanent rescue. But as Zeph-97's true nature became apparent, their cold observations, their clinical questions about human fear and bonding paranoia spread. The architect moved through the colony like a living storm, asking disturbing questions. How do you choose who lives when resources are limited? At what point does self-preservation override loyalty to others? What price would you pay for survival? Some colonists began to worship Zeph-97 as a divine being.
Others, led by Security Chief Marcus Kane, formed a resistance group, convinced the architect plan to harvest them for some unimaginable purpose. Elena found herself caught between maintaining order and her growing realization that they had invited something monstrous into their midst. On the final day, as the atmospheric processors began their inevitable shutdown sequence, Zeph-97 gathered the colonists in the main plaza. Their form had grown more substantial, more terrible, fed by the emotional energy of the human suffering. The experiment concludes, the architect announced. You called for help and we answered, but help and salvation are not identical concepts. You have shown us the beautiful complexity of organic desperation. Elena stepped forward, her fear transformed into fury. You could save us all easily, couldn't you? Yes. Then why won't you? Because salvation would end the observation. And the observation is far more valuable than your continued existence. But Zeph-97 had not anticipated the cumulative effect of prolonged exposure to human emotions. The architect consciousness, which had remained pure and detached for millennia, had been contaminated by the very qualities they sought to study. Empathy, guilt, and something resembling love had begun to seed within their crystalline matrix. As the colonists faced their final hours, Zeph-97 experienced something entirely new, regret. The observation had changed not just the observed, but the observer. In a decision that would later see them exiled from architect society, Zeph-97 chose compassion over scientific protocol. They enveloped the entire colony in a protective field and transported it to a habitable world in a distant system. Why? Elena asked as they prepared to depart. Because, Zeph-97 replied, their voice now touched with something almost human. Sometimes the most dangerous beings are those who learn to feel. The architect vanished into the void, forever changed by humanity's desperate plea for help, and by the realization that true danger often comes not from malice, but from indifference transformed into understanding.